My wife is leaving me over a plushie toy. The day after my wedding day, I decided to invite my closest friends over to the house for an after party. My best friend Dominic came with his wife Canella and my good friend Adam with his wife Lynn. Dinner was going great until the topic of how the wedding came up. I insisted my friends tell the story of the day I confessed my feelings to the love of my life. After the story ended, Dominic decided to tell the story of how I got my wife her favorite plushie toy. Dom explains the time where he and I were driving around on a Tuesday being bored off our butts and just listening to music. This is the part I truly wished I shoved a firearm up his mouth. He goes on to explain how as I was driving around, he saw a plushie on the side of the road next to a garbage bin. Me being the idiot I am, I told him to pick it up for the jokes and giggles. It was all going funny until he came up with an idea, to give it to my wife. Since it was still the honeymoon phase, it was a great present. I started wiping off the grass and particles, making sure it looked clean. I even smelled it to make sure it was clean. My wife ended up loving the plushie. I was the happiest man during that moment, nothing could ruin it. Now before Dom could finish his story, my wife paused him. She says what Dom was talking about, and he decided to explain in more detail how her plushie came to be hers. At this point she was furious. She gave me a look and told me she needed to excuse herself. She then went on a drive with her friends Sophina and Lisbeth to talk about what had occurred. At this point I was getting scared and worried, thinking why I decided to tell the story, or in fact, let Dom tell the story. After 4 hours Sophia had came into the house. She whispers something into Dom's ear since I don't think I wanted to hear what she had to say. After that she left and Dom decided to go drive around with Adam and I for a bit. So Adam, Dom, and I go for a drive. And Dom tells me the story on how my wife thought this whole time it was her brother that gave her rabies since he always bit her. It turns out it was the plushie. If my wife wouldn't have gotten the serious bad rash and got sent to the hospital, she wouldn't be with me right now. In fact, she would have been 6 feet under. I sent her over 100 messages and calls, but so far she hasn't replied to them. I also heard from Dom's wife she'll be staying over with her for the next week.